This is the second day of lecture. Last night we did have a fight sequence, stunt coordination lecture, and it was well received. Lots of questions. So we're going to bring that back again next year. And today we're talking about producing a bit. If you don't know who I am, my name is Johnny Wu. I'm the guy who's emailing you guys every minute as possible. So if you're sick and tired of my email, put in block. That's fine with me. But then you want to know what's going on with the festival. I'm also a producer, director and editor in Cleveland, Ohio. I have produced lots of events. The Cleveland Asian Festival, with over 50,000 people showed up. The Cleveland Culture Garden event, over 35,000 people showed up. The Horror Hotel Film Festival, with another owner here, Scott Morrison. He is our official photographer as well, and he's going to do a lecture tomorrow. And here we have 4 people that you can make Q&A to them. Grill them as possibly you can. Imagine this is a prison interview. So we'll see. Okay, can you guys introduce yourself, who you are? We'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Jansen. I am a director, producer, editor, and then everything else that I wasn't able to hire.
My name is Jacob Kitaeff. It's a very similar situation. I feel like a little bit of everything, a lot of hats, but mainly producing, directing, and writing.
My name is Crissy Kolarik. I am similar. We all start kind of at the stage where you do everything, and you have to bring your own lunch sometimes. I am currently a producer with Transition Studios as well as True Blue Network. Primarily now I focus on true crime and documentary, long-form content. The one you may have heard of, the most likely is, anyone heard of Convicting a Murderer? It was the follow-up to Making of a Murderer that was on Netflix. Yeah. We were the documentary that debunked what was actually happening, and it was all, if you want to watch it, it was all that movie, their documentary actually was a whole bunch of bull, and our documentary exposed all that. So that's kind of that was the biggest one you may have heard of. Otherwise, I've done a lot of indie work, a lot of what you guys do, getting together with your friends, go guerrilla style with the camera, screenwriting, directing, and producing.
Hi, I'm Nathan Ludwig. I'm a producer, writer, author. I also run the Genre Blast Film Festival in Winchester, Virginia at the Alamo Draft House, so that's fun too. But yeah, I've got a couple produced feature films, Worsley plans, and there's Dead Format, which is just about finished, and we're going to be in festivals next year, so that's exciting.
Excellent. So I'm going to start asking questions first, and so you guys have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll start with Nathan and go this way, right? What is the most difficult thing you're doing as a producer?
The most difficult thing?
Yeah.
Making the money last. You know, that's one of them. You know, there's something about low budget filmmaking I enjoy, that you have to kind of work outside the box sometimes. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, when you're working outside that box, you wish you had a little bit extra money to do so. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is like raising funds, like to where you want them to be. So, you know, I know we had a pretty successful campaign crowdfunded for Dead Format, but we're still putting in our own money. Like, right. It's because it's a passion project, so you don't feel like you're wasting money, but it's, you know, it is what it is. It is a challenge for sure.
Crissy?
Yeah, very similar. I think that's going to be the theme. Sometimes resourcefulness is more important than the resources, because you really have to be resourceful. I find that maybe more of a solution is creativity, networking, feeding people well, but that's making it. But relationships, I think, if it could be a challenge for some creative types. It's hard to network. It's hard to put yourself out there and sell your own brand. For some people, that could be a challenge. So then, if you're struggling with networking, that's something I would probably focus on.
I feel like, you constantly are wearing a lot of hats. There's a lot of things, like even if you do have a specific position as like a producer, you end up all of a sudden having to, do something like, go pick someone up, or, go into an edit and make sure something is done, a certain way, constantly making sure people are on time. It's like, you gotta be able to have that hybrid mentality of like, just because you're assigned a role doesn't mean that you're just going to be specifically in that role. And that's both fun and challenging, because it's just like, you want everyone to do their job, and everyone does do their job, but sometimes you kind of got to pick up the slack, or you got to, help out as best as you can. So it's kind of, you want to be a team player and motivate people, but also sometimes you got to do some things that maybe you didn't initially think you would do.
It is important to know your distribution strategy in pre-production. So making a short is not like making a feature, and I learned that the hard way. It's a lifelong lesson. And really investigating or find people who know what our distributor's asking for. So there was a lot of in-kind things that were given to Legato, that tasks that people did, and like some really big things, and they got credits for it. And then I realized I need a contract for every single credit, even if they were free. So just really knowing, is this just going up on YouTube, or are you actually planning to sell it to a distributor or put it on Film Hub? You really need to make sure that all those contracts are locked down, even if someone is doing something for free.
Excellent. Any other questions you guys have there yet so far? Go ahead.
Yeah, for distribution, since you're all working in the genre space, is there a network or a company where you're seeing a home for your project? Like, with all the streamings and choices, I'd like to hear each of you where you think your project will have the best life, or in terms of licensing, where you see your project going for its lifespan.
Go ahead, start with Kristen.
So I'm a newbie. So my thing is that for my first one, I would like to go with Eventive and Film Hub. So Eventive is a place where you can have your own online film festivals. You could also say when it's playing in person as well. But in this economy right now, one of the options you could do is pay what you can. And I just know if you put something, I know for my friends, if you put something on Amazon for $1.99, they're most not likely going to buy it. But if you say, hey, pay what you can watch it for free, and that they have the option, they might be like, oh yeah, let's give you $5. It's a weird flip, and Eventive allows you to do that, and that's more self-distribution. I love my first feature film, but I don't think it has mass appeal. It is it's about immigrant experience. It's about female relationships. So while there's ghosts and demons, I really think it's gonna do better in female women film festivals, as opposed to maybe the horror ones, because it's more subtle. It's more about family drama that happens to have spooky stuff. So I for my first one am looking to do that, because I've heard so many horror stories about distributors that you get nothing at the end, that they just take so much. Now, it's not that I wouldn't be open to it in the future, but that's where I'm taking my first one, just because I don't think I'm going to get mass views, so I'm going to go more the self-distribution route.
Before Jake, you continue, would you mind tell everybody what time in what movie it is you're playing right now? So in case they call. Yours is too late now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good planning. I would
It's
like
playing
to
right
see-
now.
Sorry about that.
Her movie is playing right now. Movie, right?
Yes, but if you do get, if you got the special bag, Legato on there on my website, I will be talking, follow our website or follow us on Instagram, so eventually I will have that up and Eventive. It's just because it's in the film festival circuit right now, it's not streaming, but so just follow us, and you will have an opportunity in the future to watch it.
Excellent.
Congratulations on the first baby.
Thank you.
I'm in a similar situation, still fairly new in the sense where I'm kind of feeling out, where I want to expand on as far as like a feature goes. But for myself, it's, a lot of times I think we're so excited about getting our baby out there, and we're nervous because it's like, all right, what festival is the best place to go to? Who do we want to see it? And at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of times, especially if you are doing, a short or something where it is kind of like your first initial go at it, you do want to just get it out there for people to see. So to more so not have the mentality of like, it needs to be perfect, it needs to be at this festival, or I need to distribute it here, whatever. But more so, just get it out there. I think everyone kind of tends to freak out about that. And it's one thing if maybe you're 17 films in and you're like, all right, I really got to nail this down. But at the end of the day, you just want to get yourself out there. And I feel like, you kind of play it by ear, but mostly whether you're sending something on YouTube, just for like a mass audience to look at, don't really think about what the perfect plan is, but more so how can you get people to see what it is that you made, and then you kind of go from there.
And when's your film playing?
Tomorrow at 10.
And what's it called?
Yeah, it's sorry. No, I'm like I think it's 10. Johnny, when is you don't know all of them? No, it's 10 a.m. tomorrow. My film's called Exposure. It's based off of a real situation that happened to me personally in the desert, and it's a really creepy short about this couple that goes out there, and as they're taking long exposures of the stars, which is what I was doing in Monument Valley, all of a sudden they're looking back at their long exposures, and they're seeing something out there. And as they're taking more exposures, it's getting closer to them. And that happened to me and my girlfriend in real life, and it was really
That's
great.
a real story.
Yeah, so check it out tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, sounds awesome. I kind of planned for this question, and I know it depends on what level you're functioning at. Like I said, if you've done 20 films or this is your first film, like being strategic a little bit, especially if you're low budget. Like if you're going to do the festival circuit, don't just put it all out there as many places as you can, because that gets very expensive. So again, if you're in a horror genre, focusing on the festivals like this one, that is more, you're vetting your audience. So you're kind of, for people who are specifically looking for horror. Also, I know other films that have done like TVOD, which is like transactional, like they can buy to rent it. People can rent your film rather than giving it away for free right away. I don't know if you guys have films like Tubi or like the other like fast channels or AVOD. And then anyone ever worked with Shudder, which is like a subscription service? That's another, again, it's rather than, like Netflix contracts aren't always great. It's hard to get them, and also they do take a lot of your money, but it is a way to get a lot of mass appeal. But Shudder's another one, again, you're kind of vetting your audience. It may not be as widely available, but the people on there are looking for the type of genre that you have. I think, especially with low budget, it doesn't need, you don't have to have $1 million marketing budget. It needs to be this sort of a smart distribution based on what your project is. And sometimes it is just putting on YouTube. That is what's smartest. So I think kind of learning, in practice and learn your craft and get as much out there as you can, and then you'll learn. Eventually, you might be on Apple and doing self-distribution or getting a license with someone.
Through my experience being a festival director, I've met a lot of filmmakers, and they have all kinds of good stories and horrific stories about digital, like streaming distribution. So if anybody, I'm not going to name names for distributors, but if you have questions about who's reputable, who's not, I will give you a list of both. But I think you just, to your point, know your audience. Should you put it on YouTube? Is your audience going to just devour it on? Are you like, I know a lot of Twitch streamers and kind of gamers that have done feature films, they just put their stuff on YouTube or Twitch because that's where their audience is. For the collector's market, for a lot of like horror and like genre fans that love that stuff, they still love physical media. Physical media is making a small comeback right now. Because a lot of people are realizing that streaming is not the end-all be-all answer to everything, especially for older films. So coming to a convention like this, selling your merchandise, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, our first film, Worst Laid Plans, did well. It's on Tubi, it's on streaming and everything through Terror Films. It's doing fine. But we got a deal with Scream Team Releasing for physical media, DVDs, VHS, Blu-rays. And we sell them at conventions, and they sell them online, and that's where the money is. That's how we make money, not through streaming. So that's just there for people to see the movie, if they prefer to do streaming. But the physical media, if you can swing it and get a deal for that and sell it at conventions and at signings and stuff, that's how you can make your money.
With physical media, you also can add in behind-the-scenes stuff, which a lot of people want to see that. That's new thing with the new the Z generation now. They just want to have media because of new face now. One thing I also want to do also is when you get any agreement for any distributors, make sure you read through all the fine print. Most of the big distributors, you will never see your money back. Most of the smaller distributors, you see your money back a little bit. You're going to have a problem with the reporting because everybody had to wait for 45 to 90 to 120, 80 days before you get the reporting back. So keep that in mind. We are going to be, after the festival is over, I'm sending out everybody 2 smaller distributors. the contact information, so you can send your stuff to them and feel whether they'll be interested to carry on. Now the other thing is also think about the international market. Some projects do well domestic-wise, specifically in the United States or Canada, but others do well all over the countries and all over the world. So you want to look into that kind of distribution, which is hard because if you go to a streaming media distribution, they don't know anything about international market. So you kind of screw yourself. So if you're going to do that, streaming media-wise, do look for one that is a non-exclusive deal. This way you can find an international market for that. Anybody have any question for this? Yes, TJ?
So what's something that you wish somebody told you early on in your career or yesterday that you wish you had listened to or known about? Some piece of advice, something you stumbled upon and go, wow, I wish someone warned me.
Just start with Nate.
I should have started this like 10 years ago. But I'm 47. I feel like I'm 37. I feel like I should be doing this when I'm 37. But no, other than starting about 10 years too late. I went to film school 10 years too late, that's for sure. But other than that, I just, I wish somebody told me that you can do this stuff yourself. You don't have to wait for gatekeepers to allow you to do whatever. Especially nowadays, there's no excuse for not making a low-budget film with the technology that exists. Shoot it, just go do it. I wish I had made myself know that 10 years before. Just go out there and make it. Write it, shoot it, do it yourself. Even if it sucks, you learn, it's film school. So.
And I would like to add, make things that you enjoy and you want to make. Don't try and make everybody happy, because when you do it and you're passionate about it, and you'll find your audience. I think a lot of times we like, oh, no one's going to want to watch that, so we don't create it, even if you think it'd be really cool. And also start with the crappy stuff. Like I had so many things to look back on, we can laugh about it now. It's so horrible. But you have to start somewhere. And I think that paralyzes a lot of people. When you overanalyze it and you feel like it's not going to be good enough, no one's going to want to watch it, so you put nothing out. And that perfectionism can be a big deterrent of your own success.
Yeah, adding to you guys, it's I think everyone gets discouraged at times, because we are constantly looking at an edit or looking at something that we've written or shot for the day, and you're like overthinking it, like, oh man, like, is this actually good? Should I go and shoot it again? You become obsessed, which is great as an artist, but there comes a point where you need to essentially move on. You need to make what it is that you want to make, and then get it out there. Don't obsess over it where you're spending years and years. That was something that I did for a while where I shot it and I felt like I was just in the editing room for like a year, and just the littlest things that no one notices but me. It's never going to be a comfortable time to like put it out there. You're always going to feel like you could have added something, you could have fixed this. But at the end of the day, you just got to get it out there. Don't be afraid to just wrap it up and move on to something else. Yeah, I think that's mine.
And to build off that, what helps is outside perspective. So for me, it's my husband. Like, I'll wait for it to go pretty far in before he sees anything, and then like he knows nothing and he goes into it blind to see it, and then I ask specific questions. Or sometimes there'll be other filmmaker friends. I'm from New Jersey, and I feel like the Cleveland, Ohio filmmaking is very similar to the New Jersey indie filmmaking scene, which there's not a lot there for indie filmmakers. It's all for Hollywood right now. So we're like butting heads with the booming stuff going on in New Jersey, but the indie community is very tight, and just going to someone else and saying, hey, watch this, don't say anything, and then ask questions afterwards, that really helps you get out of that spiral of constantly editing.
So basically doing focus group. So basically that's what you do. So it's always a good idea. This way you learn from their perspective what majority of people want to see.
Especially if you're attached to like a special effect that took 2 days, or your favorite line that you wrote. In my movie, when the demon comes out, it was supposed to go into a toy bear, and it looked so lame. It just looked so lame. I had an outside person watch it and was like, "Can you just cut the bear?" And I was like, like, it just didn't even occur to me to cut the bear, but luckily, there was enough there that we could just cut it. So now it just like comes out of her mouth, and she's fine. Like, it just, instead of the weirdness going into the bear. So it helps you get out of the box.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question was, do you have good anecdotes about a darling or something that had to be left on the cutting room floor?
That's
So that was yours, so yeah. Do you,
Yeah, no, I actually, when we went out to shoot mine, initially we wanted to start off, have a nice opening drone shot. We were doing all the stuff near Monument Valley, things that like, if the police found out, I feel like I could get arrested for because we didn't have a permit technically. Don't recommend that, by the way. But we did all this work, and I put together such an edit, and I was so excited about it. And then we kind of thought about, does this add to the story? Like, it's a cute intro, but does it actually add to the story? And we spent days doing this, let alone editing. And when we were showing it to people, so many people said, yeah, you don't actually need to start with this beginning you have. I say you just start it with, I'm not going to give anything away, but start it with, going into the night. And I remember being really pissed off because it was like, you don't understand. I spent so much time doing this. I did a drone, blah, blah. But it's like, at the end of the day, does it work for the story? And a lot of those things, again, going back to the obsessiveness, you got to let go and be like, all right, well, I was excited about that, but we don't need to add it. And so we just cut it. And so kind of be comfortable being uncomfortable in that sense.
And the other thing, we've been creative in, I'm big in dark comedy. I love dark comedy. And sometimes if we couldn't use it or if it doesn't work, we would do post-credit or put it in BTS, like just because we love it so much, we want to share it. So we find creative ways to use, especially if you're able to do it with the DVD or something like that or post-credit.
As far as like something we had to cut, I wrote the screenplay for Dead Format with Mike Lombardo, who's the director. So we co-wrote it together, and there was one scene. It's like a grief horror film about a young man in the early 2000s that's coming to terms with the death of his father, and his family has been broken up because of that, and he's stuck in the world of VHS, and it kind of goes forward from there. But that's kind of the focal point of it. And there was a nice poignant scene I came up with in a Chinese restaurant where he's kind of remembering his childhood through this other family that's kind of sitting in the corner. And it's very wistful, it's nostalgic. It's a movie with a lot of dialogue back and forth. So this was kind of a nice quiet moment. I was like, this is going to be so great. We had to cut it completely because we couldn't find the right Chinese restaurant. Because most of the Chinese restaurants there were just the typical takeout restaurants where there's no decor or anything. We're looking for like an actual Chinese restaurant that had all the old.
Shoot in Cleveland.
It just didn't work. We had to cut it at the last minute.
I'll get you the restaurant.
But it still worked out. You just have to say, sometimes you have to kill your darlings to get the whole project done. Like you can't just keep going, but what about this? But what about this? Just keep moving forward.
Cool.
And sometimes you can go back for pickups or whatever you need to do, but sometimes you just have to cut it completely. So it exists in the screenplay only right now.
Anybody have any other questions so far? Got one more?
I mean,
I would like to go to her first.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you share a creative strategy specific to your project about how you raised funds to your specific audience?
Do you want to start from that point in this way?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Nick?
What was it? I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Can you share a creative strategy for raising funds for your specific project?
Creative. Just
Other than shaking down friends and family, if you had zombies in your film, you showed up at their house with zombies, something.
I hate to say it, but crowdfunding is one of the main ways to do it, unless you have a rich aunt or uncle who's a dentist or like a doctor that doesn't mind donating money. It's just like, you have to do the crowdfunder in some capacity. It's a second or third job, depending on how many jobs you have. You do have to message people.
Did you have a fun perk or something?
The perks were great. We do we had people, crowdfunder where people would come onto set and hang out or be killed in the movie, have a photograph somewhere in the movie, so the villain of the movie is this kind of nameless reaper who comes out of the TV, kind of like The Ring or whatever, but he has his little kill room inside the TV, and so you see like the hourglass, but they have photos of all the people that have been killed by him in the background, kind of X'd out. So those are some crowdfunder backers, stuff like that. Visits to the set. One of our executive producers is Brian Keene, who's a pretty well-known horror author and executive producer. So we do a private lunch with him, or you can come to his bookstore and just have have a shopping spree. Those kind of random things. So we do a lot of creative perks. We have to do we have to do a small post-funds, I hate doing them, I don't like doing them. We have to do a small post-funding, like post-production crowdfunder. And we're coming up with some cool stuff for that right now, like props from the set, like we chainsaw through a door. The Reaper goes through a door with the chainsaw, like a real one. So we have pieces of that door that we're gonna auction off.
Nice.
We're gonna like debut the trailer, like the teaser trailer for the crowdfunder, the second
Which one are you
crowdfunder.
on? Indiegogo, Seed Spark?
Indiegogo.
Okay, cool.
So,
I've had a couple successful like local events that we did. We did a zombie bowling. That was fun.
Oh, that's fun.
I almost got some in here. We had makeup artists on set so people could be the zombies. So when you came, there's a bunch of zombies bowling. The best story with that is there were people upstairs smoking, and of course they're in zombie makeup. And someone called 911 thinking that they had been, they had, like someone was like they were badly burned. I don't know what's going on. So the police showed up. But the police enjoyed the event too. They actually came down and hung out with us for a little bit. But zombie bowling, and also, if you guys would look it up, there's actually a zombie bowling ball. I don't know if they still make it, but it looks like a zombie head, and you like put your fingers in the nose and mouth. Yeah, so that was one of the auction items or the prizes that we gave away. And the other one I did with, it was a comedy film called Granny Panties. We did an adult game event, so we had like giant Jenga and like those big yard games. we had local vendors that donated prizes, so we had raffles, but I actually funded my whole movie just by that adult game night.
That's cool. I'm probably the wrong person to ask about that because we self-funded, but I've done Indiegogo and stuff in the past, and for me, it was such a pain in the ass to like, all right, like let's come up with something cutesy that we can send to them, or like autograph posters, all that stuff. It felt like it wasn't, it was more of just like a novelty thing, right? And we, in a way, it felt like we had to just focus more so on how can we get the money as opposed to like, all right, how can we like impress people and send them things? But what people I feel like really did enjoy though was, and we were just talking about a second ago, is behind the scenes stuff. Like so many people, you know, we see like the final product, but like it is really cool to see even just the simplest things that might sound dumb behind the scenes, conversations. We had in my movie Exposure, we had Mary Mauser. She was at one point, we were just doing like practicing this dolly shot, and I don't think she realized that we were recording because we were trying to test out the frame, and she just started singing Frozen because she just loves Disney stuff, and we have her like for 10 minutes just singing the whole soundtrack, and we're like, this is actually really good, like keep recording, you know, we just got a music video here. So I think a lot of people, they like to feel like they're in it, and you know they love updates and even the simplest things as like here's behind the scenes or here's like a video, you know, of where we're at because they physically aren't there. So to kind of not think necessarily outside the box, but even just the simplest behind the scenes stuff really works.
And I'll add a quick BTS. I don't know if anyone remembers Curse of Lilith Ratchet. That was here a few years ago, but I was Lilith Ratchet, and I had very scary makeup. We had a bunch of jump scares on camera where I'd come up behind staff or the crew, and we had jump scares. And they're like, even though they'd seen me several times, so many people would still get startled. Or having me, like I was singing Ice Ice Baby, but I was dressed in full wardrobe, so that was another one that people love that stuff.
Yeah,
they really get engaged, and they feel like they know you, and it's like fly on the wall perspective.
Exactly.
It's very marketable.
Like it for you.
Self-funded. So I tried crowdfunding, and unfortunately, again, like I saw all those awesome ideas, and I'm like, none of those will fit for the kind of film I was making. So at the end of the day, I was very proud. I raised $5,000. It was all friends and family,
Was that the whole budget?
friends and family of crew. No.
Do you feel comfortable sharing the budget? Just
Let's just say I tapped into my IRA.
okay. First baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Instead of film school, I made a film.
I think that's the best way to learn.
Yeah. So I did 5 shorts and then the feature. So yeah, it's mostly self-funded. I think part of it is being creative with what you have, as well as just I don't want to get into investors, like what control they might have or the say they might have, which granted crowdfunding is not the same as an investor, and that's very different. So I'm still trying to explore that, but I do know someone who's doing events right now, and she is doing wonderful with the events. So I think we need to like continue to get more creative. She also has an online presence, so just like even a Patreon. Like if you have an online presence, like what other ways can you get out there? But yeah, I think additional ways, the auctions, the you know, selling off the thing. Yeah.
If you have, it depends on your film. Like with Granny Panties, it was everyone wanted a giant Granny Panty with our logo on it. It sold really well. So if you can find something that went, obviously that wouldn't work with every film. So you have to figure out what would your audience want to buy and want to be part of it, feel like they're part of it.
Does that one have a fiscal sponsor where they're like, let's tax deduct these granny panties?
Hindsight.
And to your point, there are two, I've found that there's two different kinds of investors that you can get, that you can come across. One is like the investor that wants to flip a profit. They are there to flip a house like a movie, and they don't care, they will tell you what they think, and they will try to put their input in. There is another kind of investor that's a little bit more rare, but they do exist, especially in crowdfunders and on social media. There are people with money that just love movies, especially independent cinema.
Angel investors.
Angel investors, and they will just give you money because they love the process and they want to see these indie genre films. But they're not as prevalent as the other ones. So but they're out there, just to give you hope, they are out there.
So I believe right now Indiegogo is not doing the partial payment.
Not anymore.
You had to reach the whole maximum that you pledged for. You
They're
get.
like Kickstarter now.
Yeah.
Quite the change.
They did, and I think the percentage of people getting funding through Indiegogo now is about 13%. It's very low. The best one right now, everybody's recommending, including AI, they say that Speed and Spark is the best one for right now for independent filmmakers. So keep it up. Oh, remember though, all this crowdfunding will work unless you, well, take it back. All this crowdfunding will work if you have a good fan base. Because otherwise, it'd be like she just said, all of your friends and families give you the money.
Also, know your budget.
Exactly.
Not overshoot your budget. That's the worst thing that you can do on crowdfunding. If anything, go a little bit low if you're not sure that you're going to get, you know.
That's actually a very good idea because the lower, if you put in, let's say you need $35,000 and then you can only ask $20,000, but then you oversold it, then everybody get excited. You know, everybody would go to give you the money or say, oh my God, this way I'll reach you the better deal. Let me give you more money. So you can get to your 35 that you need.
But I think marketing early on, before you, so we marketed before you made the movie.
Yes.
And so we had a huge fan base before we ever started filming.
Exactly.
And that's why the event was successful and we finally needed the money because we did a photo shoot ahead of time. We had promotional materials. We just did whatever we could. And so people, people were like, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? So people were wanting to support it. So
Right.
it's never too early to start promoting.
And with See and Spark, you get it if you reach 80%.
80%.
Yeah, so that's better.
And, you know, if you had to do your research, your study, you had to, if you don't know much about Speed and Spark, use one of the Gemini AI, whatever, to give you the understanding of the reason part of how they work, what the thing. Use your AI to study your script to make sure whether it's a marketable or it's a failure. So this kind of stuff will help you. You know, I'm not talking about doing AI filmmaking, but you're using AI as a research tool to help you become a better filmmaker. You got a question?
Oh, well, it was the flip side of the Kill Your Darlings question was, right, you were talking about creative solutions. So I was wondering, did you ever have something really serendipitous come together? Like, you know, an effect or a location, or I don't know, if you had cool stories about it.
We'll start with Kristen. Sorry.
Serendipitous. Well, yeah, free location, so that was helpful. My day job is a librarian.
There you go.
So it was one of my former co-workers from another library, and I said I was looking, for a haunted-looking house. Or not even, just an old-looking house. And what's really cool about their house, it's not your typical Victorian haunted house. It was made in the 1800s by a carpenter, so it's a very practical craftsman style kind of house as opposed to your more typical haunted house, but it's definitely still had a lot of character. So that was a huge help. That was, having to pay for location could be a lot.
Kind of actually going off of that, not necessarily serendipitous, but we needed a really good desert backdrop. And it was like, how can we shoot something like that without having like a whole setup causing attention in the desert. And what we found is like, we just got an Airbnb that had a desert landscape. And over in, it's 29 Palms is what it was called. It's kind of, it's near Joshua Tree. And I was spending days like on Google Maps looking at all the Airbnbs, trying to figure out, okay, this mountain is in this background, you know. And at one point we just found this Airbnb, I think it was like, because they're in the middle of nowhere too. So it's like $120 a night. And they're like, yeah, and we have 6 acres of land. And you're just like, boom, like you know, I could shoot right here. And so initially we didn't think about that. And you can house everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we were trying to go so run and gun. I'm like, okay, well we can get a U-Haul. You know, we can have all of our stuff out there. We can figure out camping. You know, but then it really came down to like, you want to play every single possibility in your head on how you can shoot what it is that you're trying to shoot. And sometimes you can get like really creative and find some fun things.
I was going to go back to my marketing idea. And I'm sorry, not marketing, networking. The more people you know, the more options you're going to have. And before even in the filmmaking, I was the I know a guy person in my family. You need a carpenter? I know a guy. You need an exterminator? And that's how I have a casting company that I used to run as well. And I was more nichey. You need someone like, you need a big fat guy for a umpire. You need, you know, someone with an amputee, or I was able to find the very nichey things because I knew a lot of people. So just in your real life, and I also, at the time, I owned a bowling alley, so it made sense to be the bowling alley. We also wrote to what we have. I was raised on a farm, so guess how many films have been at the farm? We write to what we have and the people that we know and what they have. So it's just like, you don't need a boat, but you need a friend with a boat.
Yeah, I would like to say that there was a bunch of crazy stuff that happened on Dead Format. There wasn't. It was a dreamboat of a shoot. We were shooting it on weekends and a couple long weekends over a year. So that was a challenge to try to keep people in the game for a year. But there was no drama, there was no issues, there was no incidents. There was, just some logistical stuff that comes up. But it was like the perfect shoot. Our first film, on the other hand, was an anthology film called Worst Laid Plans. I'm very proud of the film, but I was the producer, as in we had 3 directors. We had 5 originally. I had to fire one, another one quit right before they were set to shoot. So like literally right before. So we ended up with 3 segments, and it's 3 different directors. So I'm producing, and there's 3 different directors in 3 different states shooting 3 different films with 3 different insurance policies. So I was thrown in the deep end for my first job as a producer for a feature film. And they're all just trying to pit each other against each other and trying to be like, pick-me's, kind of for each one of them. I love them dearly, but they were stressful to deal with. So that was fun. I mean, that was kind of the drama. But as far as like knowing people and connections and everything, like I know a guy. I'm working, this is our 10th year at Genre Blast. So being a festival director, a festival programmer, I kind of have a mental Rolodex of actors, makeup effects artists, composers, people that I've met at the festival, and just people that do good work that I remember the credits, and we did auditions for Dead Format, but we really didn't have to if we didn't want to, because we could have just cast the whole thing from the film festival, people that we've met over the last 10 years. So it's good to go to your local film festivals like this. I saw that there was an advertisement for one in Akron. Like, go to your local film festivals and meet people. That's how you make movies. That's how you make connections. I know a lot of writers can be a little introvert, and I'm a bit of an introvert when I'm not doing stuff like this. But you got to get out there and meet people if you want your stuff made. That's just all there is to it.
And most importantly, if you have a day job, make all the relationship you can make. My job as a producer for different events, I know every mayor in the city of Cleveland. I know every news media. I know everybody. So if I need to get a place, like have a Zoom environment, I ask the CEO of the Zoom company and say, hey, can I do an adventure park Zoom? They will say yes. And that's how you build your relationship and get your free stuff.
Yeah.
So throughout the year, I make over 14 different feature films. Everything was donated in a sense because of all the relations I built with them.
Yeah.
So you can't just do that. I mean, and what they always say, entertainment is about networking, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how you do it, and you don't spend lots of time with that. But if I'm going to do a crowdfunding, they're probably going to tell me I don't have the money. They're going to tell me that because they'd rather give you the trade than give you the money.
Yeah.
So
I unfortunately have to bounce for my Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
everybody.
Sorry, good luck.
All right, we got time for one more, and Yeah, we can, yeah, it's 11:42. All right, time, actually right now, with short time, go ahead and tell us where people can find you.
So we're all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, what's the other one, Facebook, Genre Blast Film Festival, just search Genre Blast, one word. We're all over there. I'm also a published author, filmmaker on social media, Nathan Ludwig, you can find me there, Nathan D. Ludwig. I've got a table in the vendor room with books and movies, if you want to come check it out, all my published books, so a lot of fun, pulpy, grindhouse, horror stuff.
And do you have a film go showing?
I'm in the screenplay competition this year, so I don't have a film, but yeah.
That's right.
Sweet. Outside of the festival, I'm at Transition Studios, or Watch True Blue, if you want to watch any true crime, cop stuff. Chris Jansen's one of our partners. We have a couple documentaries coming out soon, Killing of Sister Dorothy, and we have one we're creating now called I'm Chris Hansen, about him. Also, this time next year, or actually April of next year, at this same location, we are going to be having a true crime festival and convention.
Oh, wow.
So that just got booked. So anyone wants to do true crime, that's going to be next April 23rd through 25th.
You can find, I guess, a lot of our stuff on my Instagram, Jacob Kitaeff. I also created a podcast, true crime podcast, actually, on, if you remember from the 90s, Lisa Frank. There's a lot of crazy, corrupt stuff that that lady has done throughout the years, so I made a whole podcast series on it. It's called Behind the Rainbow Lies. That's on a bunch of, or wherever you listen to podcasts, but it's that was something I've been working on recently, and I got to talk to her son and a lot of her family members, and she's a nut job, but if you remember those unicorns, you know, it's kind of bumps heads there. So yeah, you can look at Behind the Rainbow Lies.
Hey, he got a movie showing tomorrow at 10 o'clock,
That's
room what?
B.
Room B.
10 a.m. exposure.
If you want to get away from horror films, want to check out a martial film, my movie is playing at 1 o'clock today. So at room A, so check out. It was a film, because somebody bailed on the last minute, so I put something in there. It's a very old film, but it made all the money back and some. I actually got a point for that one.
Which one is that one?
We shot too. Immortal Combat the Code.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's did well. But I will never recommend anybody go with that distributor anymore, so don't go with that. Don't bother with that. So, yeah. Thank you guys again for being here. There's a lot of great panel today too. Dan O'Shannon is a producer and writer. He will be here also. I'm not sure the schedule. He's a great guy, and you can learn a lot from this Emmy Award. Oscar nominated too, I think. Of producer, so he'll be here. So if you can hang out, have a good time, go check some movie out. Thank you.